Cass Hopetoun released her debut album, Not Your Typical Bride, in 2022 and was nominated for the Golden Guitar for Best New Talent, which was her second nomination for that category. In fact, she has had 3 Golden Guitar nominations overall. She has since released the single Some Things Never Get Old with her husband, Blake Dantier, who's an artist in his own right. And she now has a new single called To Be a Lady. So I'd like to ask her about that. And I ask her about her album as well, because I still like listening to it and talking about it. Hi, Cass.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you on and to talk to you about To Be a Lady, which you wrote with Blake and also with Sarah Buckley. So I'm wondering if the 3 of you were in a room together for that, or is that just logistically a tough ask these days?
We actually wrote this like pre being parents. So it wasn't like that tough a ask, but we were in like a real Zoom thing. We were like, let's try out Zoom, let's write with lots of people. So we wrote, obviously me and Blake were in the same room and then Sarah was at her place. But yeah, thank you, technology, because it's like, you just get things done. You're like, let's write tomorrow compared to let's write in 3 months' time.
Yeah. So was that during the pandemic or was it an outgrowth of pandemic practice?
Thinking outgrowth, like we could have done it, but it's like, I guess we always get a little bit lazy, right? We're like, oh, Zoom, we could just sit here in our tracky ducks and do that.
But I think it's as you say, like you could do it in 3 months or you could do it today. So
Yeah.
why wait? If you don't lose anything by being
Mm.
Zoom.
Yeah, exactly. I think like there's definitely energy in a room of like everyone's in the same room and you can't replicate that. But, you just pick your battles. It's like, oh, this time we'll just do it like this. And, this time we'll actually be in a room and we can like have coffee or wine. And
How did you come to write with Sarah?
we'd already written with her on my album for Bonfire. So
Mhm.
we wrote that song and thought it was really great. So we're like, we should write again. And it wasn't too long after we wrote that song that we wrote To Be a Lady.
Yeah.
So we just kind of like, yeah, in a bit of a groove with that and thought, we should do that again. And we just happened to find another great song.
So does that mean To Be a Lady might have been on the album or it was written sort of after that?
It was like just after. I think it was, I'd already like I got the album ready and it was happening. And then I think we wrote this like shortly after. But it kind of felt like a new, because like the songs you write from an album usually happen a long time ago. So
That's
it's like
right.
it didn't feel like it fit anymore anyway. So it was kind of good, like a new kind of chapter.
When you write something and then maybe leave it for a little while, do you come back to it and think, oh, I've got a different interpretation on that now that I took
Yeah.
time?
Yeah. And I think you definitely like, I know for myself and with Blake, like we'll come back to a song like literally like a year later or something and be like, oh, we should rewrite some of this. Like we should revisit it. Cause it's just like it's like fresh eyes. It's like hearing it for the first time again. But yeah, it does, yeah, they can kind of hit differently. It's like, oh, I'm like, oh, I was really feeling really annoyed at that time. I don't feel that bad anymore.
I suppose there is also an element of thinking, or perhaps thinking we should trust our instincts. Like that's how we wrote it at the time, and it should stay like that.
Yeah, I think like I'm more so like that, but like Blake is very like, no, rewrite. Like he's one of those people where it's really great and then it's also sometimes really annoying because you're like, oh, the song is done. But
Yeah,
then
right.
he'll rewrite something and be like, okay, it's better. Yes, I agree.
How annoying.
Yeah.
So, given that you and Blake have written together a lot, can you still surprise each other when you write a song together?
Yes, I think even in like ideas for songs or we'll just like he might be writing something that's for him or has nothing to do with me and I might just have something else say and he'd be like, oh, that's really cool, like I might put this in the song. So I have like one line credit or like vice versa. It's just yeah, still like definitely like fresh things that come up we didn't think we were capable of, or um it's fun like for me when I think it's not that great of an idea or something little, but then he'll think it's awesome and it's like vice versa, which is cool.
Yeah. And he is also your producer. I would imagine that there's a point at which it's hard for you to work with anyone else, basically.
Yeah, I know, like this is the first time he's produced something of mine. So before this I'd always done stuff with Matt Fell.
Mhm.
um and for this time just like lots of different reasons, but mainly we just wanted to take our time because we didn't know, like I didn't know what kind of sound I wanted. I wanted something like fresh and just something we kind of pick away at, and you can't really do that in a studio. It's like you get one day, it's like let's do this,
Right.
this and this. And I wanted something that no one had really done, and the great thing about working with Blake is he hasn't produced a lot of other people, so it's like cool, everything will be fresh. So it was, yeah, really fun like doing that with him. And definitely luxury though, because it would be hard to work with like someone else or like pay someone because
Yeah,
it's the
right.
script.
So when you said you were, looking for a different sound for this, as in because you have a variety of sounds on the album, so it's not like, oh, there's a singular Cass Hopetoun sounds. The sounds of the songs fit the lyrics.
Yeah.
So with this one, in trying to find the right sound for it, was it just a matter of playing around with how you were singing it, for example, and thinking, okay, that's the sort of treatment I want on it, or was it actually in the studio that came together more?
It was more in the studio because like I had a guide vocal, but the lead, like the actual vocal we did was the very last thing. But mainly like layering. So, we'd get someone to play drums and then we'd like think about what kind of drums do we want. And then Blake would like get someone to play bass and then adding in different kind of synth parts and just like grooves and just like really little things, a lot of things I didn't quite understand, but Blake did. And I was like, cool, that's what we're looking for. But yeah, and I think because I never think in terms of an album. I think it's definitely like song by song.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it just because it'd been a while since I'd done recording, it was like I just want something a bit fresh to feel, like a fresh new chapter. But just finding the right thing for this song. It's like, I want it to be like groovy and relaxed and really fit the lyric compared to just like, oh, let's just make a pop country song.
Yeah, it does have a really interesting groove to it, actually, and a really strong beat. So it's this slightly swirling. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is great. Lyrically, I did hear in the lineage of it that there's a relationship, I think, to the title track of the album, Not Your Typical Bride, because it's about throwing off societal expectations of how women should behave. And that song was too. So I was wondering if that was conscious, that there was, because they are not the same song at all. It's not to imply that, it's more just, oh, there's a lineage there from one song to the next.
I think it's just in me. And I don't know if that's like something I'm just like, go women. That just kind of comes up a lot. Or it's just because they're things that I think about, they're definitely going to connect. So I think there are similar wavelengths and there'll probably a lot more songs that do a similar thing. But yeah, not a conscious effort. I think it just happened.
So what do you hope listeners take away from To Be a Lady?
I hope obviously for ladies, I hope that they listen to it and they're like, yeah, I want to do what I want, like why do I bother like wearing makeup if I don't like it, or why, or even like question like why do I do it if I don't like it? But I don't want people to like stop having fun and dressing up, because like I still like doing that too. But yeah, I just hope that kind of makes women feel like we can do whatever we want. We can just be like, we're great the way we are, like natural and in our comfy clothes, and just be ourselves.
Yeah, I do like the word lady as well. I don't think it's used enough in lyrics.
No. Yeah.
There's a certain, there's a nice rhythm to it, or a nice sound to it, I guess, in your song. It's like, I can't think of a better way to put that.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, you are a mother to a young child who is turning 1 on the day we are speaking. So congratulations on making it through the first year of parenthood. On that vein of the lineage between the songs, I'm wondering if there are expectations that you've discovered of how you should behave as a mum, actually.
Oh, yes. And like, I'm sure there'll be lots of songs that I'll write. I don't know if I'll release them, but there's there's like still these days, like I remember I told people I was going to have a baby and they're like, oh, what's going to happen to your career? Like they just thought I would stop, and it's, that kind of thing. But there's still kind of an expectation that you will not do as much, or you have to choose. Or even like sometimes people expect you to do too much. And it's like, I know at the beginning, I just wanted to do nothing. I just wanted to be a mum just for like a few months, where it's like, I don't want to think about anything. But there's definitely like a lot of pressure just in different ways. I think people just expect mums to just do it all and then just get on with it. And not complain.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like sometimes I'll complain. I'll be like, oh, I better stop complaining. And it's like, no, actually, I think I can let this out for a bit and then chill out. But yeah, I think I'm sure. I mean, the last album had a lot of stuff about that part of my life, for getting married and entering that new journey. And I think this motherhood is another whole ball game. So yeah, look out for those sassy numbers.
I look forward to them. And it is, yeah, as you said, the first few months you wanted to do nothing. Well, because you'd grown a small human and then you'd given birth
Yeah.
to a small human, and it's a lot to recover from. And I do think we're in a culture now where it's like, oh, well, get back to how things were before, almost like that never happened. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and you need time to recuperate.
Yeah. Or they, even I don't know, even like bouncing back, like shape wise, getting back
Mm.
into shape, like things like that. It's like, I think, and now like we need money because it's expensive to live. So I did go back to work, but I was like lucky with what I did that, it worked out and it was all good.
Mhm.
And I could like ease back into it. But I feel bad for mums that go back to work like 2 weeks later. It's like you did something so physically hard and also still physically hard. It's not like it just gets easier. It's like you still gotta look after this baby. But it's a huge thing. And I think I didn't know until I had a baby, like how big it was. And you have a new like appreciation for women.
And also, when you were saying on the flip side that people who were thinking, oh, you would just give up your work, I sometimes wonder with creative careers where everyone just thinks, oh, well, you were just kind of dabbling. So what does it matter if you
Yeah,
stop?
exactly. Yeah. It's funny. And like some people, because they didn't bring out music for a while and they thought, oh, I thought you're just done. And it's like, it hasn't even been that long. Like my baby's like a year old. And it is funny, like these days you're just expected to bring out a lot of music and keep going, and
Yeah.
same with any sort of creative thing. But I think you can do it all, and I think it's great watching other artists. Like I love seeing people like Fanny Lumsden just doing it,
Mhm.
because then I'm like, okay, if she can do it. I remember she told me, she was like, we're at something and she's like, just do it, like you'll be fine. You'll work it out. I was like, okay, cool. And I took that to heart and just took that as truth. So I think it's good if other women are doing that and they're just doing what they love, and you get to show that to your kids as well.
And I remember when she just had one, I think she became really adept at finding someone in the crowd when they were doing country halls tours and just saying, take the baby.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and people will, if you find
Mm,
a person with a kind, open face who's likely to look after your child, I don't think people
yeah.
mind helping. And I do think part of the the I don't know, the bounds that have come in for modern women when they become mothers is presuming that no one's going to want to help, or everyone's just going to leave them on their own, and you have to do everything on your own, and you don't.
No, I think I remember reading something about like in different cultures, like not so much in Australia, it's like there's a village to help you, like a
Mm,
literal village.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you would just pass around your baby, you would like go have a nap, then like your auntie would help or just your friend. And whereas here, I think we feel like we have to do it all and we can't complain and we just have to get on with it.
Yeah.
But something, it's like been a year now, but now like if anyone offers help, I'm like, yes. Or
Yeah.
you want to take her for the night? Yeah, cool. I'm gonna go like have dinner.
Yeah, so I would
Yeah.
like to, rest or do whatever
Yeah.
I want to do.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about how you're just releasing music and people were like, oh, I thought you were done because time has passed. That's interesting too, because as you said, there's all this pressure to, and that may not have been the word you used, but people are releasing, releasing, releasing. But knowing as I do talking to artists, how much goes into just making one song, the writing process you've talked about, the recording process, waiting to find the right sound for this song. It's impossible to do it quickly and produce great work. And it is that push and pull, I think we're seeing now, where yes, there are a lot of artists putting out things all the time. Perhaps they're not as great as a song you might take your time with and release. And so as an artist, I imagine there's a push and pull and a sense of pressure too.
Definitely. And I think the quality like drops if you try and bring out too much, or you just trying to like get like in a rhythm or some sort of like, oh, I have to do this song here, this song here, this song here. Whereas if you're just taking your time, like even with like getting produced, like, going with the producer, it's like, okay, I have 5 days, I have to have 3 songs ready, you have to go write the songs. Whereas I think what I'm going to try and do is take it slowly. I want to bring out a lot of music, but it's like I want to make sure they're great songs and they're really like produced really well, and I'm really happy with them and not just doing it just because I don't know, someone said I had to.
Yeah. And the songs you have released have had over 1 million streams collectively. It's like, I'm like, is it hard for you to conceptualize that number of people listening to your music?
It's so like when you put it all together, and obviously some songs have been listened to more, but like, you know, I think Blake was saying, I said, oh, this song had only had this many listens. He's like, but that's this many people have listened to the song. Like,
Yeah.
that's so cool. I was like, oh yeah. Because you get caught up in like, oh, but this person had like 100,000 streams more. But it, you know, I think it was a great, like, just kind of snap back to reality. It's like, these are all people that have found the song and they like it, or like, this is this many people and they've listened to it twice. So I think that's like a better way of looking at streaming for me.
Yeah. Are there songs that have been popular on streaming that have surprised you, like an album track, for example, that you just didn't think people would find in that way?
Um, there's definitely, I mean, my first song, obviously it's the first one, so it's had more time, but Shots has just like, it's always been the most streamed, like people just love it. But, and I think it's probably the most like commercial song I've brought out. But then there's a song, Parallel Lines, from the album. Like, I have so many people that like, that's their favorite one. And I think it could, like, it's one of my favorites as well, but it's like, it's just interesting, like, because it's not a like party, like rock out song. It's a more of a like thoughtful, like semi ballad, but it's, yeah, I always find that interesting where it's like, okay, that really like connected to people.
Well, I love it. And in fact, it's in my next question. That's
Really lead into that.
so yeah, because your album showed a great range of you as a singer, I think, as well as a songwriter. And there's in fact, both those songs you just mentioned, I wrote, there's a mile of difference between Parallel Lines and Shots.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, you know, in terms of you as an artist, what your interests are in terms of what you wish to convey to the audience.
I think I want to just write, like, I'm just trying to write songs that kind of connect with me. And I think they're all kind of coming out pretty varied at the moment. Like, the songs I'm looking at releasing further down the line, like there's a couple of more ballads, which I hadn't thought as like bringing out as singles, but they're just something that connect to me, and hopefully they connect to other people. So it's, I'm just trying to cover like all basis of things that I'm feeling, because there's like, you know, it's very likely that people in similar boats to me are going to be feeling the same stuff. So it's, yeah, kind of like, I definitely have a lot of sass that I, you know, and there's lots of things around like, you know, stop society. But then there's also like other things that I feel that are a little bit less ranty, that hopefully are connecting with them.
Well, a song like Who Needs a Why, like that's a really sweet song in so many ways.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's just like kind of lighthearted and trying to lift people up kind of thing. It's not like ranting at all. It's just a nice one to kind of get you, I don't know, just inspire people and kind of like click something in like someone's brain.
Yeah. Because I know you have a background in musical theatre. So when you approach recording a song, do you, even though you're writing from a place of what interests you and resonates with you, is it almost like connecting with the character who's singing that song in order to get the vocal? Because you do have quite different vocal techniques going on, I think.
Yeah. I think that's something I won't be able to change. It's like, especially if there's a song that's like a story, or it's not like my personal story. So like from the first album, like Barbie Doll isn't about me, but it's, you know, it's like trying to step into that character of that person, because, you know, you've created a whole character essentially, even if it was like based loosely on someone. It's like now it's this whole thing. And it's, yeah, I guess it's just like I'm trying to tell the story. So it is funny like listening to tracks as like, okay, I sound like a different person there, but not, it's still me. But it's I think that's kind of fun though, that there's like different versions of Cass.
Yeah. And when you play live, because you have played quite a few festivals, do you tend to do the same thing and inhabit the character as you're singing the song, or is it because of the environment is more just, no, this is a cassette and I'm, you know, that I
Yeah.
get to sound like cassette.
Cassette.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I think it's more me, but it's more yeah, I think, I don't know, I think I'm mainly thinking about telling the story, so connecting with the audience. So it's like, you know, I'm talking to you in this moment, like, you know, maybe this connects to you. So I'm kind of stepping outside myself for a bit.
So given that you have played a few festivals, are there any festivals on the horizon?
There are, but they're not announced yet.
Yes.
So keep an eye out. Yeah.
Always the story whenever I ask others,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask this, and then I realize that you can't say anything because they're invited.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds fun. I mean, I could have 20 ready or one. Yeah.
And I would think for you as well, with a small child, a festival's a great way to manage your time because it's one show. It probably involves travel, given that they're all over the place, but it's different to booking a tour.
Yeah, it's definitely they're like in a way they're less work, logistically not, but because usually you spend half your time just traveling and then the set takes, half an hour and then you go home. But it's they're definitely like a lot more manageable and they're a bit more fun, and it's like easy to kind of like, yeah, palm off the baby. Do you want to let Sophia, here's her headphones, like she can watch the set. But I'd love to do some like touring and I'm trying to put together some dates for this year. I want to go a bit more regional and just kind of get out there, whilst I'm feeling that, like, because I haven't done I've done like cities and festivals, but I just feel like there's a lot of country fans out there that are nowhere near where I am.
Yeah. And do you, or if you were to do that, would it be you and a guitar, you and Blake and a couple of guitars rather than?
Yeah, I think we just because me and Blake are so tight already because we play together so much, and then maybe add in like a bass player,
Right.
just have more of like an acoustic thing. I'd love a band, but it's, depending on where you're going, it's like it might be a bit overkill.
Yeah. Well, and also then you have to organize other people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always annoying.
So the song "To Be a Lady" is out now. It sounds like you're going to consider carefully what you release next because you can.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take my time. There's definitely like I've got a lot planned for coming out this year. So just because I think I felt like because I had a break, I am like really excited. I've got all these songs ready. And just being able to record them at home is just like a huge blessing. So we'll just keep the ball rolling.
And I failed to check whether there's actually a music video for this song because you've always made great videos. So I don't know if you've got one for this one.
Not for this one. I'm just like, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows they're expensive. And I have a very high like standard for my videos. So it's for me, it's like all or nothing. So I think I want to do a video this year. And I want to do something like really crazy and fun. So yeah, again, keep an eye out.
Well, we'll keep an eye on your socials and on your website as well. In the meantime, "To Be a Lady" is out now. Cass, thank you so much for talking to me.
Oh, thanks for having me.